What if the America Europeans were warned about was never the America waiting for them? After the World Cup, many returned home carrying more than souvenirs. They carried an uncomfortable question. Why did life in America feel larger, easier, and more exciting than they had been told? From everyday convenience to bold infrastructure, these 10 differences may explain why leaving the United States felt harder than arriving. America built bigger. For years, much of the European media has presented the United States through a narrow window filled with traffic jams, aging infrastructure, crowded airports, and cities supposedly struggling to organize anything without chaos. Then the World Cup arrived, international supporters walked into America's largest stadiums, and that familiar picture began falling apart before the opening whistle had even finished echoing. The first surprise was not the football. It was the machinery surrounding it.
There is literally no way that this is real. Just look at this. Oh my word. This is incredible.
I'm a Brit in America and this place is absolutely insane. Bookies. There's like 60 different petrol pumps.
America is the best place in the world, and I don't care what anybody says. If you want to be successful or you have any ambition or dreams, this is the best place in the world. You're not going to go to Europe. Europe's You're not going to go to Australia. It's full of lazy So where are you going to go? Right here to America, in the land of opportunity, where people hustle, where people work hard. And you know what? The government actually allows you.
Across Europe, legendary venues such as Anfield, San Siro, and the Santiago Bernabeu carry history that cannot be manufactured. Their stands have witnessed generations of victories, heartbreaks, and arguments that probably continued all the way home. Yet many European stadiums remain tightly packed into old neighborhoods, where narrow roads, limited parking, crowded entrances, and aging concourses can turn a major match into a carefully managed squeeze. America approaches the same challenge with the confidence of someone who looked at a football crowd and decided to build an entire city around it. Venues such as SoFi Stadium near Los Angeles, AT&T Stadium in Texas, and Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta were designed to handle enormous crowds without making every restroom trip feel like an expedition through medieval tunnels. Their concourses are wider, digital screens are larger than some apartment buildings, and food areas resemble indoor streets rather than small counters hiding behind concrete pillars. Even the parking lots appear to have their own weather systems. That scale is not merely decoration, it changes how a global tournament feels. Families can move more comfortably, international visitors can follow clearer signs, and thousands of people can enter or leave without being pushed through spaces designed for crowds from another century. Modern accessibility, climate control, digital ticketing, giant replay screens, and purpose-built entertainment zones turn the stadium into more than a place where 90 minutes of football happen. The entire day becomes part of the event. This is where many visitors began reconsidering what they had heard about America. The country often gets mocked for making everything larger, but during a World Cup, larger suddenly becomes practical. More space means fewer bottlenecks. Bigger screens mean nobody misses the decisive moment. Wider concourses mean a father carrying drinks does not need the balance of an Olympic gymnast. Europe may own much of football's oldest soul, but America knows how to stage a modern spectacle without whispering an apology for its ambition. The buildings are bold, polished, comfortable, and unapologetically designed for the biggest possible audience. After experiencing that level of organization, returning to an older stadium can feel strangely intimate, charming, and slightly cramped, like watching the world's greatest match inside a beloved family attic. The tradition still matters, but America has shown that sporting history and modern comfort do not have to be enemies. Perhaps that was the real cultural shock. Visitors expected noise, excess, and confusion, yet they found infrastructure operating with the smooth confidence of a Super Bowl production. America did not merely host the World Cup, it built a stage large enough to make the whole world feel invited. Restrooms without drama. One of the most revealing differences between America and Europe has nothing to do with skyscrapers, stadiums, or billion-dollar technology. It appears at the exact moment when somebody has finished a giant drink and suddenly needs a restroom before the situation becomes a personal emergency. During the 2026 World Cup, this ordinary detail quietly changed how many international visitors viewed daily life in the United States.
Ooh, this is nice! Girl! Lewis, los baños gratis sí existen y están aquí en Pioneer Square. A la verga. They're actually real, what the hell?
Across major American cities, restrooms are commonly built into the places people already use throughout the day. Airports, highway rest areas, department stores, supermarkets, museums, restaurants, stadiums, shopping malls, and large gas stations usually provide facilities that are visible and relatively easy to reach. They may not resemble a luxury hotel bathroom, but nobody expects marble walls when time has become the main concern. The real comfort comes from knowing that a solution is probably nearby. That certainty becomes more impressive when compared with several European capitals. In central Paris, visitors may need to locate one of the city's public toilets, enter a cafe, or purchase something before gaining access. London has public facilities in major stations and busy areas, yet availability can vary, while some toilets require payment or close earlier than nearby nightlife. Amsterdam has long faced complaints about limited facilities, particularly for women, and public toilets in parts of Germany commonly expect a small fee. None of these systems is unreasonable, especially in historic cities where space is limited and maintenance costs money. But they require more planning than many Americans would tolerate before breakfast. The American approach feels almost wonderfully uncomplicated. A family can stop at a Walmart, Target, highway service plaza, or fast food restaurant and usually find what it needs without beginning negotiations over a receipt code. The building seems to understand that human biology did not sign a purchase agreement before entering.
So I live in Philly, but I was just in San Francisco, and I still bet they have these public toilets.
This is where American scale becomes genuinely useful rather than merely impressive. Large commercial spaces have enough room to include wider entrances, multiple stalls, changing stations, accessible facilities, and clear signs. At major venues, restroom capacity is treated as part of crowd management because 70,000 football fans cannot all be politely asked to wait until they reach the hotel. When the system works well, something potentially stressful becomes so ordinary that visitors barely discuss it. Only after returning home does the difference become impossible to ignore. A walk through an old European city may once again involve scanning cafe windows, railway signs, and payment machines with the focus of someone solving a national treasure hunt. Suddenly, the restroom inside an American supermarket no longer looks like a forgettable convenience. It feels like infrastructure designed by people who have met the human body before. European cities offer walkability, history, and compact beauty that many American communities would love to copy. Yet America often performs better at making basic physical needs easier to manage across long days, large venues, and busy travel routes. That practical comfort rarely appears in dramatic news coverage because functional bathrooms do not create exciting headlines. However, after several weeks of experiencing them, they become one of those strangely powerful details that make leaving America feel harder than expected. Great countries are often judged by their monuments, but everyday life is usually decided by simpler questions. Sometimes national excellence begins with a clear sign, an unlocked door, and the comforting knowledge that nobody needs exact change. Superstores feel unreal. The moment European visitors step into a full-sized American superstore during the 2026 World Cup, one familiar media picture begins to look suspiciously incomplete. They may have arrived expecting a country defined by disorder, inflated prices, and daily inconvenience, yet the first ordinary shopping trip presents something far more impressive. A retail system built around space, choice, speed, and the stubborn belief that one building should solve almost every problem before dinner.
So this is such a special experience for me as a European being in Walmart. Come on, it's just huge.
So that whole aisle here is, if you eat all the food, you take a shit. But look at that. So that one is Angel Soft. Wow, that's a pharmacy. That's a real pharmacy right here. With a TJ, whatever that stuff is.
In central London, Paris, Rome, or Amsterdam, supermarkets often work within buildings shaped by older streets and limited urban land. A branch near a railway station may be compact, efficient, and perfectly suited to customers buying a few items on the walk home. The trade-off appears when somebody needs a week's groceries, household supplies, medicine, pet food, school materials, and one forgotten phone charger. That simple list can turn into several separate stops, each involving another queue and another small bag cutting into the same 2 fingers. An American supercenter treats that list like a warm-up exercise.
America, why oh why Have you got so many cereal choices? It's unreal.
13 pack of donuts.
We are back in Walmart. This is the biggest tourist attraction I can have as a European. It's like a museum, literally like a museum.
The scale is the first surprise, although calling it large barely explains the experience. The produce section alone can resemble a neighborhood market placed indoors, while the cereal aisle stretches far enough to make breakfast feel like a major life decision. Beyond the groceries, there may be a pharmacy, bakery, electronics department, clothing racks, gardening supplies, toys, kitchenware, automotive products, and seasonal decorations waiting 6 months ahead of schedule. Halloween has barely packed its bags before Christmas begins measuring the curtains. This size reflects a practical American rhythm. Many households shop weekly, drive longer distances, and prefer buying everything in one trip. Wide aisles allow 2 carts to pass without beginning a traffic negotiation. Large parking lots remove the need to circle a medieval block, and extended opening hours respect the fact that modern schedules rarely end neatly at 5 o'clock. The shopping cart is not decorative equipment, it is a small cargo vehicle with ambitions.
So I've been to Walmart already, and it's huge. But what is this? Costco. This is even bigger than Walmart.
You're telling me that this is the pharmacy? Yes. Where's the medicine? Right there. In the back. But I get distracted. Now I want to buy everything.
Choice also operates on a different level. In a typical European neighborhood store, one product category may offer a carefully selected range. In the United States, that same category can occupy an entire wall. Peanut butter arrives smooth, crunchy, natural, reduced fat, flavored, family size, travel size, and apparently prepared for every possible constitutional interpretation. The abundance can be comical, but it also gives families room to compare prices, dietary needs, brands, and package sizes without visiting 3 businesses. This is where the cultural contrast becomes more meaningful than the spectacle. American retail assumes that time is precious and convenience should be designed into the building. The customer is not expected to organize an afternoon around errands. The store organizes itself around the customer's afternoon. European cities still offer an advantage many American suburbs would love to borrow: compact neighborhoods where daily shopping can happen on foot. Yet after weeks of using stores that combine groceries, pharmacies, household goods, generous parking, public restrooms, and late hours under one roof, returning to smaller shops can feel unexpectedly restrictive. The charm remains, but so does the realization that convenience has a physical size. Perhaps this is why the American superstore stays in memory. It takes an ordinary chore and gives it the confidence of a theme park, minus the roller coaster, and with considerably more laundry detergent. The media may discuss America through its loudest problems, but daily life often tells a quieter story about a country that keeps asking one practical question: why make people visit 5 places when one enormous place can handle everything? Roads built to move for many Europeans, the idea of driving across the United States had been shaped long before the 2026 World Cup began. News reports often focused on traffic in Los Angeles, damaged roads in older cities, or dramatic images of highways packed with cars. From a distance, America could look like a country trapped inside its own size. Then visitors actually traveled between matches, hotels, airports, restaurants, and neighboring cities, and the picture became far more impressive. America does not simply have long roads. It has built an entire culture around making long distances manageable. In much of Europe, roads must negotiate with history. Central Rome, Paris, London, and Brussels were never designed for modern traffic, so drivers often move through narrow lanes, tight turns, limited parking, and streets that seem personally offended by large vehicles. Even major highways can become stressful when service areas are far apart, exits appear quickly, and one wrong turn leads into a village where the road becomes narrower every 50 yards. American interstates feel different because they were designed for movement on a national scale. Multiple lanes, clearly numbered exits, large overhead signs, generous merging space, frequent fuel stations, roadside restaurants, and rest areas create a system that keeps explaining itself. The road rarely asks drivers to guess. It tells them where food is, where fuel is available, which lane continues forward, and how far remains before the next major city. That clarity changes the meaning of distance. A 3-hour drive in Europe can sound like a serious journey requiring snacks, planning, and perhaps a farewell speech. In the United States, the same trip may be treated as a reasonable afternoon. The distance has not become shorter, but the infrastructure makes it feel less demanding. Cruise control settles in, exits arrive with warning, and the highway begins behaving like a moving hallway connecting entire regions. Rest stops add another layer of convenience. Along major routes, travelers can find parking, restrooms, vending machines, picnic areas, information boards, and enough open space to stretch without standing beside a fuel pump. Large service plazas may include several food options under one roof, turning a basic stop into something between a cafeteria and a small travel center. America understands that a road trip should not require the survival skills of a wilderness expedition. The humor lies in how naturally the country handles scale. A sign may announce that the next destination is 80 miles away, with the same calm tone used elsewhere for around the corner. Any parking spaces are wide enough to avoid folding the car into origami, while highway exits often come with enough warning to prevent a last-second lane change worthy of a NASCAR audition. European rail networks remain stronger in many regions, and compact cities often reduce the need to drive at all. That advantage is real and worth protecting. Yet when travel depends on roads, America often feels more practical, more forgiving, and far better prepared for people covering serious distance. After several weeks, that system becomes difficult to leave behind. Returning to narrow lanes, tiny parking spaces, and confusing city exits can make American roads seem less excessive and more brilliantly honest about the size of the country they serve. Hotels that deliver European media often describes American travel as expensive, exhausting, and built around endless driving, which creates the impression that every major trip becomes a complicated test of patience. Yet during the 2026 World Cup, one surprisingly ordinary part of the country challenged that picture almost immediately. American hotels are often designed to make temporary living feel remarkably easy. The difference begins with space. In cities such as Paris, London, Amsterdam, and Rome, many hotels operate inside older buildings where every square meter has already been negotiated with history. A room may be beautifully located and full of character, but it can also require guests to open a suitcase on the bed, turn sideways beside the desk, and treat the bathroom door like a difficult puzzle. None of that ruins a European vacation, although it does make travelers appreciate the engineering talent required to fit a shower into an area roughly the size of a coat closet. Across much of the United States, even ordinary chain hotels tend to offer larger rooms, wider hallways, bigger beds, practical desks, ice machines, elevators, vending areas, and parking close to the entrance. The design may not always win an architecture award, but it understands why people booked a hotel in the first place. Guests need room for luggage, clean clothes, food, devices, children, and the collection of souvenirs that somehow grows after every World Cup match. American hotels also tend to build convenience directly into the stay. Free Wi-Fi is common, air conditioning is expected, and many properties include breakfast, a fitness room, laundry facilities, coffee in the lobby, or a small refrigerator and microwave inside the room. In parts of Europe, those same features can vary greatly by property, especially in older city center hotels. Air conditioning may be limited, elevators may be tiny, and breakfast may come with a separate charge large enough to make a supermarket croissant suddenly look like an excellent financial decision. The real strength of the American model is consistency. A traveler arriving late in Dallas, Atlanta, Kansas City, or a suburb outside New York can often recognize the basic system before reaching the front desk. Parking is visible, check-in is straightforward, the room layout is familiar, and essential services are easy to find. That predictability matters during a tournament, when supporters are changing cities, carrying luggage, and trying to remember whether kickoff begins at 3 or whether 3 was merely the time someone promised to leave the hotel. Europe has exceptional boutique hotels, historic properties, and city center locations that America cannot easily reproduce. Waking beside a centuries-old square in Prague or Florence offers a kind of beauty no roadside property can imitate. However, when the comparison shifts from romance to daily usefulness, the American hotel often becomes the stronger machine. It is less interested in making guests adapt to the building and more focused on making the building adapt to guests. That distinction says something larger about American culture. Comfort is not treated as an embarrassing luxury reserved for expensive vacations. It is frequently included in the basic product, whether that means a king-size bed, cold air in July, enough towels for everyone, or a breakfast station where the waffle maker quietly gives every guest the confidence of a short-order cook. After several weeks, travelers become used to that generous rhythm. They unpack without rearranging the furniture, sleep without negotiating with a thermostat, and leave in the morning without calculating the cost of every cup of coffee. Returning to a smaller room back home can therefore create an unexpected feeling of loss. America has a talent for turning practical comfort into something people only notice once it disappears. The impressive part is not that every hotel is luxurious, because many are not. The impressive part is that even the ordinary ones often work exceptionally well. In America, a hotel room does not need to be glamorous to feel generous, and that simple generosity can make visitors wonder why going home suddenly feels like giving something up. Homes feel enormous. European media often presents American life through its most dramatic extremes, yet it rarely explains how ordinary comfort is built into the physical shape of the country. During the 2026 World Cup, the difference became visible beyond hotels and stadiums, especially inside the apartments, rental homes, and suburban houses used by international visitors. What initially looked like simple extra space soon revealed a much larger cultural idea. In America, a home is expected to absorb real life, rather than force daily life to shrink around it. In cities such as Paris, Amsterdam, Rome, and London, housing has been shaped by limited land, older buildings, strict preservation rules, and neighborhoods created long before modern appliances existed. Many homes are attractive, walkable, and full of character, yet residents often learn to use every corner with remarkable discipline. Washing machines may sit inside kitchens, refrigerators can be narrow, closets are limited, and spare rooms are treated almost like mythical creatures discussed more often than seen. American homes frequently begin from a more generous blueprint. Kitchens have broad counters, refrigerators look ready to cater a family reunion, and storage appears in places European visitors may not expect. Walk-in closets, pantries, laundry rooms, garages, basements, and multiple bathrooms are not unusual in many suburban communities. Even modest homes can provide enough room for people to work, cook, entertain, store groceries, and avoid conducting family diplomacy every time two people need the bathroom. The difference is not merely about showing wealth. It reflects the way American households are organized. Families often buy food in larger quantities, own more equipment, travel by car, host gatherings at home, and expect appliances to perform much of the repetitive labor. A full-size dryer means clothing does not need to decorate every radiator. A dishwasher handles dinner while the family watches television. Central air conditioning keeps the entire house comfortable instead of turning summer into a negotiation over which room deserves the only portable fan. European housing often wins on location. A compact apartment in Barcelona, Vienna, or Copenhagen may place cafes, schools, markets, and transit within a short walk. Many American suburbs cannot match that daily convenience. However, once people spend several weeks with larger kitchens, private laundry, proper storage, powerful cooling, and enough electrical outlets to avoid forming a charging committee, returning to smaller living spaces can feel more difficult than expected. This contrast exposes something frequently missed in overseas coverage. American comfort is not always expressed through luxury brands or glamorous penthouses. More often, it appears through square footage that allows a family to breathe, appliances that save time, and rooms designed for actual routines rather than photographs. There's also a distinctly American optimism hidden inside the architecture. The garage assumes there will be another project. The basement imagines another purpose. The guest room quietly believes somebody will visit. Even the refrigerator seems confident that Thanksgiving could happen with only 20 minutes of warning. That generous attitude toward space can become deeply addictive because it removes small frustrations that people once accepted as normal. Nobody needs to move a chair before opening the oven, store winter coats beneath the bed, or schedule laundry around the weather forecast. The home simply works around the people inside it. After experiencing that level of practical comfort, many visitors understand why leaving America can feel unexpectedly emotional. The country does not merely offer larger houses, it offers the appealing idea that everyday life deserves enough room to unfold without constantly apologizing for taking up space. Everything stays open. European coverage often portrays American life as inconvenient, expensive, and unnecessarily complicated. Yet one of the clearest surprises during the 2026 World Cup came after the matches ended. While crowds were still leaving stadiums late at night, American cities continued operating with a level of practical energy that many visitors had not expected. Restaurants were still serving food, pharmacies remained open, supermarkets welcomed late shoppers, and gas stations offered far more than fuel. America seemed to understand that real life does not always finish politely at 6 o'clock. That flexibility becomes especially noticeable when compared with many European cities. In France, Germany, Austria, Belgium, and parts of Switzerland, Sunday trading restrictions or shorter business hours can make shopping more dependent on careful planning. In smaller German cities, arriving at a supermarket late on Saturday may feel like joining the final evacuation before the doors close. Paris and London offer more late-night options, but ordinary neighborhood stores can still close earlier than visitors expect, while pharmacies often operate through designated duty locations rather than keeping every branch open. America takes a more direct approach. Whenever people need something, somebody is usually still selling it. Large supermarkets frequently remain open into the evening, while convenience stores, pharmacies, diners, drive-through restaurants, and travel centers often serve customers far beyond traditional business hours. A supporter returning from a World Cup match can buy pain relievers, bottled water, phone chargers, snacks, toiletries, and breakfast for the next morning without treating the task like a military supply operation. Even a gas station may resemble a miniature supermarket with coffee, hot food, medicine, and enough drink choices to make thirst feel unnecessarily complicated. The difference reflects more than longer schedules. It reveals two contrasting ideas about convenience. Many European systems expect daily life to follow established opening times, encouraging people to plan ahead and protect quieter evenings or Sundays. America usually does the opposite. Businesses adapt themselves to the unpredictable routines of workers, travelers, families, and football supporters who suddenly remember at 11:30 p.m. that the hotel room has no toothpaste. Neither model exists without trade-offs, but the American version feels remarkably liberating during a major international event. It removes dozens of small deadlines from the day. Visitors do not need to rush through dinner because the supermarket closes soon, calculate whether a Sunday arrival will leave them without basic supplies, or guard the last bottle of water like it belongs in a museum. This culture of availability also supports the enormous distances people travel across the country. A late flight, delayed match, or long interstate drive does not automatically leave travelers stranded without food or necessities. The lights of a roadside travel center can appear like a small civilization in the darkness, complete with restrooms, fresh coffee, hot meals, and shelves prepared for almost every forgotten item, except better planning. After several weeks, this freedom becomes easy to take for granted. Returning home can bring back the old habit of checking closing times before leaving the house, planning Sunday purchases in advance, and wondering whether anything useful will still be open after an evening event. That is when many visitors recognize what America provided so effortlessly. It was not merely longer shopping hours, it was the comforting feeling that the country remained ready whenever life changed its schedule. The World Cup may be over, but the lesson remains: America cannot be understood through headlines alone. Its scale, comfort, convenience, and ambition become real only when people experience them firsthand. After weeks of seeing how boldly this country builds for life, returning home can feel limiting. Which American advantage would be hardest for you to give up? Share your answer below and subscribe to the channel for more stories that reveal the America the world rarely gets to see.